skinned it? What if you just skinned it?
No, but then you waste all the fat. So this little guy goes in here like that. And you just want to kind of...
And that's what, 140 degrees?
Yeah, about that. And you want to kind of wiggle it around because, as you can see, some of it takes a little while for the water to actually get to the skin. And you just kind of...
They're water resistant.
They are a little water resistant. They're little umbrellas on. Ducks are even harder to do.
I've heard about dry plucking with ducks. Paraffin?
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh.
Absolutely.
What?
That's exactly it. And because ducks have also have all the downy feathers too. I've plucked a duck before and it is no fun.
Make an appointment at a
Yeah.
black song.
No. Hot water stall.
So, I'm gonna hand it.
Yeah.
So you get them to this point, and then if you lay them out on the table, sometimes you can do that, but you just kind of start at their ankles, and you systematically pick a spot to start from, and just do one limb at a time, and then you won't get hair everywhere. And the hardest thing is actually getting the stuff to come off your fingers. But I do the legs, and then I do the pin feathers in the back, and then I slowly work my way up to the head of the chicken, and it just comes off very easily, as you can see. It's not too difficult. And at some point, you're going to have to take the thing over there and wash it off in a sink to get all the little feathers stuck off of it before you can see where you're actually... right. It comes off really easy. It's fine. And if it's not coming off easy, you just dip it back in hot water.
The mistake of putting a chicken in boiling water to scald it.
Bad idea.
That was a mistake. Sad thing. The skin comes off.
Oh.
When you're plucking it, a lot of the skin will come off. It's just like, unfortunately, I wasn't making like I wasn't gonna roast the chicken. I was gonna like break it down into small little bits and make it into a rillette. But so it wasn't about being pretty, but I felt terrible about it.
What's still attached and what's not, so I like to run it under water and wash everything out. But essentially, that's it. That's a plucked chicken.
Right, look at that.
It does look fake. This is the part where you'd smack your friend in the face.
It's one of those rubber slingshot ones.
Where's that part? Next time.
So you're going to take the head off, so you don't have to concentrate so much on it if you don't want to.
You can't take it off that way. It's not looking at you.
Well, you can do whatever you want. It's your chicken. You paid for it. So I'm going to go wash it off, and then I'll show you how to take the hair off of it, and then we'll show the evisceration part. So if you see, there's these weird little black hairs here, and these are the part that, when you roast a chicken, look kind of creepy when they're sticking out, and you think, I don't want to put that in my mouth. So we'll just hold it over the fire and burn it off. And for the sake of expedience, I'm not going to do like a perfect job on this guy. I'm just trying to get everybody going here. And his feet's there, and you just kind of lay him on the fire and let it raise up, and it'll burn that hair like that. And it's okay if you blacken its skin a little bit. It's not any problem. And it's just as much as you want to be fastidious about it, but since you probably won't kill your own chicken all the time, maybe you like doing that. The other thing is, this sterilizes the outside of the chicken to an extent, so that when you're eviscerating it and cutting it, any sort of salmonella that would have existed on the outside of the chicken gets burned off.
What do they do in commercial processing?
They have a blowtorch thing. They hook its feet on a thing and they roll it through a little cupboard, and inside the cupboard just burns all the hair off.
Wait, how does the chicken get salmonella? It has it while it's alive?
Chickens are the only bird that we eat that carries salmonella, and it's a natural part. It's a naturally existing bacteria. It's part of the chicken's normal flora, which is the reason why people get salmonella. It's not necessary. It all has to do with the processing, and it has to do with them like letting basically shit get all over the food.
That's what I was thinking. So
Yeah, but in a conventional setting, though, the government allows a certain amount of shit to get in their food, too.
Yeah. Well, that's why I was surprised that you said.
For all intents and purposes.
Really?
So basically what we're doing is trying to get the skin open enough that you can get your hand in there and scoop out its guts. And a chicken's anatomy is kind of funny, but you can basically stick your hand inside. Particularly, this would be easier for women than it is for men because you can fit your whole hand inside. When I do it, I kind of tear the whole thing apart. It looks like I got shot out the butt. So you can take a scalpel, and if you do take one of the round, this is a number 12 and this is number 11. This you can poke the way through the intestines and get extra poo in there, which you don't want to do that. And this has more of a blunt end on it. The same reason for people, you don't want to cut their intestines on accident. So essentially, you make a little incision right here, and a little incision right here. And you just delicately kind of tease that tissue away. And you can go around it if you want to. There's a couple of ways to do this. But basically what you want to do is get into its cavity without puncturing its intestines. And there's not a whole lot to this as far as meat goes. So once you get in there, you're kind of in there.
If you puncture the intestines, does that ruin the meat?
No, I mean, you just got to wash the whole thing out. And you can kind of express poo out of the back. You gotta... So,
We're sanitizing that. Don't worry.
yeah, so
Clean that up.
once you get this tissue cut open here, and you can get your hand into the inside of the peritoneal cavity like that, you can see what you're dealing with. And then essentially what you do is sort of open the chicken up like this. And it's not, once you can see where the intestines are, then you just cut north of the intestines.
Okay, so you don't want to cut ahead of time in case you nick one.
I find it easier to kind of use your fingers to make a little incision and get your fingers in there. Then once you're in there, see, that's the fat layer, that's the viscera, that's the epidermis and the outside skin. So once you get to this point, you see that everything that you want to keep separate is intact in its own piece right there. And then you can kind of open the thing up like this, and then you basically stick your hand inside, and you just turn the guy inside out.
Is that an egg?
There is an egg in there. It was.
More.
Wow.
She must have been young.
It's a lot of fat.
Yeah, there's a lot of fat. It's a good looking chicken. So the lungs and the intestines and the guts and all that stuff is in there. And basically it's one cavity. It's separated by a diaphragm because chickens breathe just like a person does. That layer that separates your thoracic cavity where your lungs and your heart are from the rest of your body is in there. But what you want to do is take 2 fingers, get all the way up to here. The end of my fingers are touching. Like you can touch, see that right there? And scrape your fingers along its backbone where its lungs are. And you can pull out all the internal organs. So that's part of its lungs. And you're just kind of scraping it out with your fingers.
Really help his phone is picking up the sound.
So it's like carving a pumpkin. Isn't there something like one of the glands in there that you want to be real careful about, or not really? You don't want to bust it open.
You don't want to puncture its kidneys. You don't want any of the internal organs to rupture.
The gallbladder, yeah.
Well, the gallbladder is part of the liver, and you'd be really hard pressed to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, basically, because
You're just scooping them out.
you see all of its guts in here. So here's its heart, right? And that's part of its lungs, that pink stuff right there. And those are its intestines and its liver.
So
Which I didn't
increase
say
the liver.
right here.
Salvaging all those little bits.
So so when you pull the guts out the first time and you pull the thing out, you're gonna want to save this part. You're not gonna want to throw that in there. That was kind of not.
We're gonna make
take its
pate.
feet off. Its Achilles tendon runs right down the back of its leg. Their knees are reversed, obviously, and that's a little easier with a real knife. And you can expose that joint right there, and then you can just saw right through it.
And I have a butcher friend who would like all of these if you don't want them.
Oh,
He makes
Yeah.
decorations out of them.
Makes what?
He makes Christmas decorations.
I was actually going to ask. I mean, is there a method to saving the feathers?
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but
Because my mom
there's probably like a
wants the
cleaning
feathers.
method.
She makes animals out of clay, like she makes sheep,
Yeah.
and then she uses real wool in them, and so she had asked me about that.
Probably a way to